the official announcement of Joe Biden's vice president pick, Kamala Harris. This is somebody I've been following for a while, and I'm going to be showing you guys a couple different clips, sharing my thoughts on what I think this is going to do to the presidency, how I think this is going to impact it, how I think this is going to be good or bad. I'm going to drop the intro one time. Don't you go nowhere.
I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need a help. Ooh, I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need a help. Ooh, that's right. I don't need nothing else. That's right.
Kingstream Entertainment.
Yeah, man, let's get into this. Okay, goodness gracious. Joe Biden announces Kamala Harris as his vice president nominee. Wow. Listen. I did a fairly good job of keeping up with the Democratic primary election. I'll tell you guys why later, but I did a fairly good job of keeping up. And we're gonna jump back in time a little bit and go over some of these different things. Now, if you guys don't know who Kamala Harris is, she is a senator from the state of California, which is where I live. She was the district attorney for a while, and she, rose to the ranks of politics fairly quickly. Early on, I started hearing about her, and they were setting her up as kind of like the next Barack, which I was a fan of Barack Obama. Don't care what you care about his politics, but I was a fan of just kind of what he symbolized, what he represented. And the DNC started kind of positioning her as the same thing, and I started kind of seeing her around, and I was like, oh, this is cool, let's see how this plays out. And sure enough, I tuned in years ago. This was her first Breakfast Club interview. I kind of started Googling about her, tuned into her first Breakfast Club interview. I'll show you guys what I saw, and I didn't expect this. So just check out. This is, I think, her second or third Breakfast Club interview. This is her talking about running for the 2020 presidential nominee.
There's a meme that says Kamala Harris broke the state record for incarcerating black males.
Well, that's just not true.
Charlamagne the God says there's a meme saying that, she broke the state record for incarcerating black males. Now, we're going to get into mass incarceration and what this actually means, but...
Okay, so you're saying the meme is bullshit?
I'm saying that, listen, there are going to be all kinds of allegations being made. And I invite, and I not only invite, I encourage folks to look at the real record.
Mm-hmm.
And she encourages folks to look at the real record. Okay, wow, interesting. Those of you guys that weren't keeping up, she had a run in the DNC. She was a front runner initially. She was one of the more name brand candidates. Again, she's a senator. She was a district attorney in California, so on and so forth. And then this happened. I added some dramatic effect, but let's just watch this with me. This is when it all went left for her in the DNC.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Wow. So, if you guys were watching the election, DNC, which I was keeping up, I had a dog in a fight. I was trying to see Andrew Yang win, right? Like, that's who I was going at. That was my guy. I was trying to see Andrew Yang win, and I saw that in real time. Tulsi Gabbard, if you guys don't know who she is, she's a veteran. She was also running, and that was the moment where Kamala's record was specifically brought into question. And boy, did she jump down the daggone polls after that. I mean, it was just and then she, subsequently, maybe a few months after that, she said she's no longer running for president, and now she's Joe Biden's vice president choice. So why is this problematic? Well, check this out. Let me go back. And this is her first interview was the first time I saw this. I've never seen this on YouTube before. I saw more thumbs down for the video, for the interview, then I saw a thumbs up. I've never seen this before. Okay, 14,000 dislikes versus 8,000. I have never seen this before in my history of watching YouTube. Okay, let's look at the other interviews first. Now look at this one. Same thing. This one's not as bad. 5,000 dislikes versus 4,000. And I started scrolling some of these comments. She arrested 1,500 pot smokers while smoking herself. Kamala Harris, she smoked pot, and I didn't inhale, right? And you look at some of these comments, and you're like, holy smokes. Holy smokes. This was a district attorney who did some very not good policies when it came to mass incarceration. Now, what's the issue with mass incarceration? I'm going to refer you guys to a Joe Rogan podcast. I don't think there's anything wrong with our judicial system. There's this brilliant podcast interview with these guys. I'm going to play you guys a short clip of it. This is the caveat that he said he was going to vote for her regardless. I mean, if she was nominated VP regardless, because, you know, he thinks that in the grand scheme, the Democratic Party is better. But here are some of the sketchy things that she has done.
The George Gage case, where her prosecutors hid evidence, and they tried to protect. Once she knew that there was evidence that was withheld from defense attorneys, once she should have known, in my opinion, that people were innocent, she tried to protect those convictions. Why? Because she wanted to continue winning. She blocked DNA. She went to great lengths to try to block access to DNA for people that were accused of or convicted of felonies. Think about it. We're talking about a $12 DNA test to see if the biological material from a crime that has been preserved is actually the defendant's, right? She blocked access to that. I mean, the list.
How do you block access to something like that? That seems like that should be a right.
If you think there's nothing wrong with our system in terms of the way our system is set up with how criminals are punished, what are these criminals actually doing, right? How are they getting punished, so on and so forth. Check out the full version of this interview. I'll link it below. The Joe Rogan interview, it's brilliant, it's long, and a lot of my Republican friends who are listening to this are like, oh my gosh, I never knew it was this bad. Why? Because our federal government funds our judicial system, obviously, but specifically our prison system. So they're getting funding from the government, and that's how mass incarceration became a thing. Now let's just start with the idea of Joe Biden saying, I'm going to pick a black woman, right? I'm going to pick a black woman, not because there's black women who are the most qualified for the job, but kind of on a symbolic basis, right? And the issue with Kamala is she's a brilliant politician. She's very likable. She's very charismatic. She's very charming. But when you are choosing style and the way something appears over substance, that is not good, man. And that's what we're seeing the Democratic Party do. It becomes more about the look and the identity of who's running, and less about what their actual record is and what their actual substance is. And this is why we can't have nice things in American politics. This is it right here, right? This is it right here. And I'm not saying that go vote for Trump, by the way. All you Trump people who are in the comments right now, I know you guys are like, yeah, Ruslan. Listen, I don't like Trump. I don't like his personality. I don't like the way he carries himself. I don't like the way he says a lot of stuff. But this isn't about Trump. This is about the flip side of this is, listen, this is why Trump got elected, because you guys keep positioning these not good choices. It was Hillary who kind of cheated Bernie in 2016. And now in 2020, you have Biden who's showing a huge degree of cognitive decline. And we'll see. Maybe he'll turn around during the debates. So now it's like, yo, you're voting for the ticket. You're voting for the ticket. But this ticket is not a dope ticket. This is not a woke, socially reform, we're trying to change the system ticket. This is politics as usual. This is the same thing we've seen as usual. And this is why we can't have nice things with American politics, right? I'm not voting for either of these clowns. But what you're really voting for, just so you know, what you're really voting for is you're voting for Trump versus Kamala Harris. Because Biden, you know, we don't know how sharp he is, right? We just don't. And I'm not trying to attack him, but we just don't, right? And now you're going to see a lot of the folks on the left kind of flip-flopping. I'll show you guys an example. And this is somebody I'm friendly with, just so you guys know. This is somebody I'm friendly with. This is somebody who me and him DM back and forth. Sean King on Instagram. He posted in 2018. He says, I'll be frank and tell you to Democrats that I'm 99% sure I won't be supporting. Primarily because of their dismal history on criminal justice reform over the course of their entire careers. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they both helped build and advance mass incarceration. Mass incarceration, look into it. Easiest way to look into it is watch that full podcast and figure out what actually happened. And then this is Sean King yesterday. That's it for me. I am incredibly proud to see a brilliant black woman in HBCU grad, historically black college universities, chosen as a vice presidential nominee. I've done political work my whole life. It's rarely things dreams are made of. Kamala Harris is the most progressive VP nominee in American history. And I asked him, should she apologize for her record? Should she? Because at this point, she says she's proud of her record. How could you be proud of penalizing parents whose kids are being truant? How could you be proud of convicting tons of people of petty drug offenses? How could you be proud of hiding DNA evidence or trying to remove DNA evidence because it tarnishes your conviction record? How could you be proud of that? And I said, listen, do you think she should apologize for her record? And he was like, yeah, I think she should, right? I think she should. This is why we can't have nice things in American politics, guys. This is it. Just so we're all clear, you guys all see what's going on. This is why we can't have nice things. And it's going to be it's going to be a mess. Now, she apologizes. If her and Biden both come out and say, hey, we pushed for some bad laws before, we made some mistakes, right? Then I could say, okay, well, you know, maybe they're coming around. But the issue is they're not. The issue is they're going to say, Biden was like, well, this is what the people wanted. That's what Clinton said. And she's going to say she stands by her record. This is a hot mess. This is a hot mess. This is not good. This is not good. Here's my prediction on what's going to happen. Here's my prediction. And I want to know what you guys think is going to happen. One of two things is going to happen. Because of the coronavirus and the economy going bad and the uprising, a lot of people are predicting, and obviously the polls, we don't really trust the polls, but people are predicting that Trump's going to lose. If Trump loses, Biden and Kamala will be in there for 4 years, and then they'll be out. That's what's going to happen. Because the further left you go, the more of the pushback you're going to get from the other side. This is why Donald Trump got elected in the first place. They went really, really, really left with Hillary, right? Further left than Barack, when it was really just the establishment as usual. And so then you had Donald Trump rise up. If Donald Trump wins, I think you might get a better shot from the DNC in the 2024 election. Again, somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, somebody like Andrew Yang, gosh, even Cory Booker, right? But I think it's interesting, one, that the DNC is really just playing theatrics. They're picking style over substance. They're picking appearances over grit and what actually requires to be a reasonable politician. And this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well. I don't know who's going to win. I'm not voting for either of these people, just so you guys know. If you guys care who I vote, I didn't vote for either of them last time, right? There's some things on the temperament and the way Trump carries himself I just can't get behind. I don't know how much I like all of his domestic economic policies, the tax cuts for the rich, that kind of stuff. And this stuff, this is definitely like, you know, trying to take people's Second Amendment away, mass incarceration. This just seems like politics as usual, and it is a mess. And it's really ironic that you're going to see more and more people kind of hypocritically on the left get in line and get behind Kamala Harris, because I think they could have picked somebody substantially better. I think they had way better options. I mean, they snubbed Andrew Yang from even speaking at the convention, right? This man raised more money than Kamala Harris, okay? Andrew Yang raised more money than Kamala Harris, was an outsider, had 1,000 followers on Twitter when he started running for president. They didn't even, and was like top 5, top 6 candidates in some polls. Made it further than Cory Booker and Kamala Harris. And they snubbed him and wouldn't even let him come to the election. A lot of you guys are saying Kanye 2020. I was kind of joking when I said that, but goodness gracious. Like, wow, this is starting to make sense, right? Like that may make sense, right? And my question is, why do you guys think there hasn't been a third party that's risen up? You would think that this would be the time, right? You would think that this would be the perfect time for a third party to rise up, right? I don't know, Andrew Yang and Jocko, right? Tulsi Gabbard and The Rock, Wayne Johnson, right? Like this would be the time, right? And I think it goes back to this like establishment politics as usual. Whether you're on the right or the left, you're going to really get the same shenanigans from either side. It's just, I'm very disappointed in Biden for making this choice. This is about theatrics. This is about somebody appearing a certain way. And I'm just disappointed. I'm going to read you guys a verse real quick. It's in Proverbs 31:30. And it is, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. I don't know if Kamala Harris knows the Lord or not. This is not about faith. It's just about the idea that charm, charisma, beauty, it's deceitful. It is deceitful. We think that because people are charismatic, that they have character. That's not true, right? And so we expect our politicians, because they're charming, because they're charismatic, we expect them to be people of noble character, to be people who are upright, to be people who are just A1 and solid people. But this isn't the case, right? This isn't the case. A lot of these people are playing a power and status game, and they just want to get elected. This is on both sides. This is on both sides. Like Trump is very charismatic as well. Some say he's even a trained hypnotist in terms of his ability to persuade. You guys can look at Scott Adams on that. If you want to look at like hypnotists explain this, you can look up Scott Adams and why he predicted Trump was going to win very early because of his persuasion abilities. Don't confuse charm, charisma, confidence with character, with integrity. Don't do it. Don't do this with politicians. And don't do this in your personal life. Don't do this in your personal life. And don't do this with the artists you listen to. Just because somebody's talented, just because somebody's charismatic, just because somebody is confident, just because somebody's funny, just because somebody's good looking, don't assume that they're a good person. Don't assume that they're congruent. Don't assume that they have integrity. This is why we can't have nice things when it comes to American politics. Because why would you, how? Like, I don't like a lot of Bernie Sanders policies, but he would have been a way better option than Hillary or Biden, right? And you had Tulsi Gabbard, you had Andrew Yang, you had Cory Booker. Those were all reasonable options, right? Dwayne Johnson, that would be amazing. Dwayne Johnson, I think he could legitimately win. Jocko, right? I think could legitimately win. This to me is a DNC issue. This is the Democratic Party repeatedly holding L's. This is why we can't have nice things, because when you have a pool of amazing candidates, and they had some good candidates. Again, I don't agree with all of them on all their policies. I was an Andrew Yang guy, right? And there's some stuff I disagree with Andrew Yang about. But you got a pool, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Cory Booker, and y'all decided to go with the dude who's going to be the oldest president elected, who, if you watch any speech of his from the 2000s, from the 90s, and you watch him speak now, the man is clearly showing signs of cognitive decline. And that's who you decided to choose. That's who you wanted to be your president? That was the best option? That is, shout out to Andrew Johnson. That is the worst option. Hillary, the worst option. And so, this isn't so much about Republicans being evil. This is the Democratic Party being a joke. So, if you're a Democrat, fix it. Go vote in your primaries. Go campaign. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm getting frustrated. Do me a favor, man. Like this video if you can. Subscribe, turn notifications on. Go pick up some merch if you want to partner with what we're doing here at kingsdreament.com. Thank you guys for hanging out. Appreciate you. If this video added some value, like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts. So do that for me. Turn notifications on. That way you don't miss these lives when I do go live. Thank you guys so much for watching. We could chat more.